Yeah, we're going to move on anyway to
Yes.
number 9 on the list, and it's The Power of the Dog. Now,
A
this
movie that I
film's
refer to
directed.
as having a lovely all-black cast. I was getting mixed up with the other Western movie.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Gianni.
John,
I am
listen,
tripping.
Oh yeah,
I am tripping.
I was
well,
going
that's on this list too.
It is
Yeah,
the
I was
harder
going to
the fall, I
mention,
think.
this is one of John's favourite genres, and there just doesn't seem to be enough Western films getting made these days. It seems to be a dying breed. But this was directed by Jane Campion and stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, and another one of your favourite actors, John, Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons, the
Yeah,
everyman's character actor.
he is.
He
Yeah.
never seems to get the true credit he deserves because he always acts in movies with absolute stellar, legendary figures, if not behind the camera, in front of the camera. So he's always this bit part player, but he's absolutely incredible. There's just something about the guy. He can do everything.
Yeah,
I think he was
that's
in
it, yeah.
Game Night, and then he'll go and do a big
He'll
sort of
do
serious drama
he'll
movie
do
in the same year.
Irishman or something like that.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
he's like the
But he's memorable. That's
He is.
the key. Every time he appears in these films, as you said, as a supporting actor, he always makes his presence, and he doesn't waste any time on the screen. Now, number 9, John. Gianni. This is coming in. Now, this is on Netflix, and it's on Netflix here in the UK.
Yeah.
So that film, The Power of the Dog, is the one I'm going to catch this weekend. Because
I'm intrigued though. I'm going to ask Gianni something.
yeah,
I'm
go for
intrigued.
it. Yeah.
I watched another great western, Slow West, Michael Fassbender, Cody Smith McPhee.
God, I love Slow
Absolutely
West.
incredible
You're the
movie,
only
isn't it?
person I know.
It's absolutely
You're the only
incredible.
person I know that knows that movie.
It's the ending where they go back and look at every death that's ever happened in the movie, and they just show you in lingering shots. And just this young sort of Scottish guy getting into the West, he's out of sorts. Fassbender's a sort of wise, sort of grizzled, experienced outlaw. He guides him. I just loved that movie. I was intrigued to see Cumberbatch almost playing the Fassbender role in this movie, and Cody Smith McPhee once again in a western. I thought he was outstanding in Slow
Yeah.
West. How does
Yeah.
he do in this? I'm intrigued.
It's a really like sort of subversive film in a lot of ways. My parents famously hated that it made this list, so shout out to them. They're probably gonna be, if they're not watching live, they're watching.
They're not western fans then.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, it's not so much that they're not Western fans, but like I think The Power of the Dog is a really interesting movie because I don't think it really takes shape or it really tells you what it's actually about until the end. And the end totally sort of subverts what the whole film was sort of building to at the start. Because you kind of think that it's this, because it's a movie with a lot of pervading sexual tension, right? And it's something that Campion, I think, likes to talk about in a lot of movies. I mean, even Top of the Lake pervades a lot of sexual tension in talking about it's the sort of a sexual assault, right? So like Campion really knows sort of how to capture this sort of effortless promiscuity of people just in the frame of the camera, not necessarily showing them have any sort of overt sexual activities. And I think that The Power of the Dog, in some respects, is her best work in that way because it's really talking about, how people can sort of use or I guess sort of I don't want to say weaponize, but use that sort of sexual promiscuity to capture I guess maybe take revenge, or I don't want to. I'm like trying not to spoil.
This is why I should have watched it. I should have watched it. I reacted to the trailer. I was aware of this movie. It intrigued me. It looked brilliant, right down to the little score moments in the trailer. I don't know why I've not seen this movie. I says to you before I come on, it's my sort of New Year resolution to right the wrong and watch as many goddamn movies as I can possibly watch. And I'll start with this and the other Western because I do love a good Western. And look, man, I like that. I like what he says about leaving it to the very end to watch and give you the message. That's something I've enjoyed about perhaps the likes of an Ari Aster movie or something like that. Slow burn. They'll just give you enough information to keep you interested, and then it goes crazy at the end. And it'll tell you, I like a slow burn review ad. And the fact that you're utilising that with a Western setting as well, it's just something I enjoy a lot. So.
It's interesting because, like, because I also, we're talking about The Harder They Fall, which will appear later on this list. And they're like, what I love about those two movies coming out in the same year is that they couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
But they're both uniquely Westerns, right? And so, like, they both capture that aimless feel of the classic West, right? Yeah. Two different eras, but still the same sort of hyper masculine, sort of pervading sense of danger from things seen and unseen. right? And what I love so much about The Power of the Dog, again, is really just like you haven't seen it yet.
Yep.
And my favorite thing to point out to people is like, it rewards you for really paying attention. And the very first line that you hear in the film, the very first line, literally gives away pretty much the end. but it does not connect with you until you get to
I love that.
Yeah, when the penny drops, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I can't off the top of my head thinking movies that there's obviously The Sixth Sense is probably the best example.
Usual Suspects as
they
well.
give you the Usual Suspects. They give you little pieces of information. You're perhaps subconsciously taking it in, but it's not until you go back and watch it many times you realise they're doing this. It's all leading to it. I see what they're doing there. So I enjoy that tremendously. And
Absolutely. I think it was Sorkin who said it best. He said that the best film twists, 10% of the audience has to get it before it happens.
Yeah,
it's like that's the perfect margin
because you're giving them just enough.
The audience feels smart. 90% of them is dumbfounded. And that's like exactly the amount of clues that you have.
And even the 10% of people who have cracked it will still have the joy of being able getting the reveal. They'll still be like, yes.
They'll feel more connected to it because they guessed it.
I'm trying to think of examples of movies that have done that in recent years, and for the life of me, I can't think.
I think sometimes when they do that, you do feel a little bit.
We spoke about it.
Some people, when they see a magician doing a trick on them, they're going to take it one way or another. They're going to be either in awe of the actual illusion, or they're going to be absolutely raging because they've never seen it coming. And I think a lot of films do that, but that's why I really appreciate you not giving any spoilers on this, because I am going to watch this over the weekend, Gianni. But definitely, I think
Benedict. I mean, we're not.
Well,
Benedict.
Benedict,
a guy that I first watched in Sherlock. I've seen him doing a sort of mystery drama. His daughter disappears, a straight to BBC movie. The guy does this. He does big Hollywood Marvel blockbusters. I love the actors that can do that. Can find time to do their small indie kind of movies. I'm not saying this is an indie movie. It's a western on Netflix, Christ. But about to speak, I'm sure at some point, about Nick Cage. He's probably the best example. Keanu Reeves as well. He'll go off and do things that will scratch an itch, and then he'll do maybe something that will pay and make his bank balance a bit bigger. I love actors that will do this, that will go in and do different things, will test themselves. They don't get typecast in the same genre, doing the same kind of movies. And that's why I respect Tom Holland. Going back to him briefly, he's not content just to sit and play Spider-Man until he's perhaps 35, 40. He's wanting to go out and test himself. He's talking about playing James Bond and doing different things. I respect actors that will go and do something a bit different. I don't know if Cumberbatch has played in a Western to this day. I don't think he has, that I'm aware of.
I don't think
this could be his first.
And it's funny that you were talking about Slow West, and I love that Michael Fassbender too, but his character in The Power of the Dog is almost more akin to Ben Mendelsohn's character in Slow West.
Where
it's like maybe not so infatuated with like his sort of like buffalo coat,
but
like the same pervasive masculinity, the same like he is the head honcho. He is the charismatic leader that's he's going to carry everybody up. And how that character then fits into this thing is really, really unique and interesting. All the performances in this are brilliant. Cody Smith-McPhee, I think I highlighted in the review, is the true standout to me. And I can't wait for you guys to watch it. It's really it's a interesting movie to see how people react to it. Like I said, my parents hated it, so maybe you guys will.
I'll give you feedback over the weekend anyway, Gianni, because I'm really looking forward to this.
And I'm just intrigued, man, with just before we move on, what your opinion is on the whole Netflix thing, because we did speak to Bartek about that a year ago, and just getting different opinions. I personally like the fact that we've got a different beast in the industry, the film industry. It's not a traditional studio, it's doing something different. It is giving a voice to different kind of filmmakers. You could argue they get gobbled up. It's a huge amount of content. You'll maybe not see it. But what is your opinion on Netflix? Because for all the bad they do bad, I'm assuming. But they do a lot of good. They'll bring a K-drama like a Suicide Squad to the eyes of maybe ignorant Westerners, and then they'll give you a zany different movie like this.
Yeah. Like I think that what I like the most about Netflix's model is also the thing that I hate the most about it. That's kind of I think what you're hitting on is it's like they buy everything
Yeah.
under the sun, and they're like they will grab as many things as possible. But there's so many indie filmmakers in particular, particularly people that have like the budget range on their film from like under $1 million to under $4 million. Those people all uniformly say that without Netflix, their film probably wouldn't have ever been seen, right? And unless they're producing it themselves, and even then, it's like the cost investment is just not worth it to put it up on Amazon for 50 cents rental. So I think that the Netflix model for all the shit it probably deservedly gets. Sorry, I don't know if I curse on the show.
No, it's
Oh,
fine.
listen, I'm usually swearing every 2 seconds.
Have you
I'm
seen
trying
our
to-
reactions, Gianni?
I'm trying to be very, very good today.
But
I've been warned to swear too much. And I've got a very wide vocabulary. I don't have to lean on swearing, but I do tend to do it. It's like Billy Connolly.
right,
Nothing
right,
quite
right.
gets the point across better than fuck off.
But John, you can get away with it. Every time you swear, it's way funnier. But I think ultimately, right, like the fact that they have a model that lets so many such a wide variety of films get seen by people that otherwise just would never have gone near films like that, I think is a true testament to the necessity of the Netflix model. Now, granted, do they need to, corner their market in such a way so as to like make movie theaters obsolete? I think that's a different sort of argument and question. But I also am, and maybe this is, a little subversive of an opinion. I'm of the opinion that movie theaters will never be obsolete.
No.
Maybe that's an optimistic
No.
sort of viewpoint, but I think that they're too important. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
We said that about it.
ultimately, I like Netflix. I think it's cool. I have a subscription. You know what I
We
mean?
said
And
that.
I watch it.
There's nothing beats the experience of going to a darkened film theatre with like-minded people. And I says on the podcast when we were speaking to Bartek, I don't know if this is something that's just unique to me, but when I watch a movie in a darkened setting, you're one way the vision of the director and maybe the studio as a whole, what they're giving you. I remember more about the movie than if I'm sitting in the house and it's on a TV or on whatever you're watching it on. I have to take notes
John,
when I'm in the house watching a movie.
we've said this
when I'm
before.
in the theatre, I don't.
When you're watching a film in your home, it's a totally different experience. It's almost like fast food. You're digesting it so quickly. You've got one eye on your mobile phone or your tablet, whatever you're kind of just looking up every now and again. You're taking in the dialogue. You've not got the 100% attention that you have in your theatre. And I think the likes of your Denis Villeneuve, who we're going to talk about in a moment, his vision is clearly for cinema. It's not for Netflix. You can just tell a filmmaker and what their vision is and how it should be projected. And I think there's not many directors out there, Martin Scorsese being one of them, who's utilised the Netflix platform brilliantly. He gets it. He understands it.
You've had a few. Alfonso Cuarón, Paul Greengrass.
Yeah, you have, John. But what I'm saying is,
Coen
you
brothers.
have got ones like the Spielbergs as well. That up to was it Apple? He's been working with.
Yeah, it's his production company.
Yeah,
I
his
think.
production
I think
company.
he just takes a.
That have
it's a separate entity.
have a
to him, I
more
think.
old-fashioned outlook on how cinema and how film should be presented, and it's certainly not on
I understand
the digital platforms.
what they're saying. And look, briefly before I move on, I searched up The Farewell, Lulu Wang. I remember watching the Variety, I think it was Round Table, and they asked her. She got offered Netflix as a platform. She says it was a great offer, but ultimately I was concerned about being swallowed up in a mass of content. So I went A24. May not make as much money, but I'll build my name slowly but surely. So there's always different avenues for filmmakers in the today's society, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, you can do a lot worse than A24, by the way.
Yeah,
You know what
Just
I mean?
incredible, aren't they? I love that
Like,
studio.
God damn.
I was physically pained when there was rumours last year of them trying to sell. I'm like, don't do it. Please
I
don't do it,
remember
man.
covering that, John. Yeah,
We've already lost Fox
Any
Searchlight.
other model is they're not going to respect that
No.
particular niche genre of film that A24
I mean, you get The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
You get The Witch. You get movies like that. Those kind of movies appear on an A24 studio. You don't get them in Disney.
And now they're
They
being copied by major studios, and they're not as good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a different sort
It
of.
is. And that's why I never understand directors going after the likes of Marvel and stuff. There'll always be a market for interesting, independent content. As many eyeballs that are on Marvel, there'll be people like myself who like both, or people who just love good independent content. We've got a great independent film theatre here, and they do a great job of projecting that
Certainly
content
do, yeah.
out. So there's always some eyeball want to watch different content, unique content. It's not all about
Yeah.
Marvel, despite that shield behind me, by the way.
Listen.